this whole Jubilee concept, I'm starting to actually be very serious about this. I've talked about the Jubilee for a long, long time. I mean, back in 1990, whatever it was, 1992, 94, 96, in that region when I was writing The Last Hours of Ancient Sunlight, and I think it was finally published in 96, as I recall. I was at some length. There's actually a chapter in there in which I'm quoting Herman, forgetting his last name now, but he was the former president of the World Bank, and he wrote a book called Jubilee, and it was a book on how we should have a Jubilee. I mean, it's time for it. Let's do it. And it's just a couple of paragraphs in The Last Hours of Ancient Sunlight, but it was in there. I mean, I've been rolling this around in my brain and in my policy suggestions for some time now. This forgiving debt. And the reason why I'm taking it really serious now is that between the time of the beginning of Reaganomics and today, which is basically, the last 32 years, what has happened is that, as Elizabeth Warren pointed out a couple days ago, that productivity has continuously gone up. The American worker is producing more and more productivity, more and more profit for corporate America. And yet, the wages have not gone up along with that productivity. Now, from the George Washington administration until the Ronald Reagan administration, wages and productivity pretty much always followed each other, with the exception of slavery, which is a whole different discussion. But people who worked for wages were basically paid based on their productivity. And as they became more productive, whether it was the result of innovation, whether it was the cotton gin or the railroad or the automobile or the Industrial Revolution, or the oil, coal, whatever, or whether computers, or whether they became more productive simply because they worked harder. Regardless of what it was, as productivity went up, wages went up. And then came Reaganomics. We've had 30 years of Reaganomics, 32 years of Reaganomics. And during these 32 years, what has happened is wages have flattened out. They've been completely flat. Productivity has continued to increase. Now, in the space between the increased productivity, which is, in other words, making more money, and the flat wages, which is, in other words, workers not taking more money, the cost of things has gone up. The economy has, we've had inflation for the last 32 years, but wages have been flat. People have wanted to have better lifestyles. They always did in the past, but they haven't. And so we filled in the gap, this giant hole that was created by the top 1% taking those trillions, literally trillions of dollars that were produced by the working class over the last 32 years in increased productivity, that trillions and trillions of dollars of profit that has been siphoned off by the top 1%. The way that working people have filled in that hole was first with credit. First, they ran up their credit card debt. And they did that from the 1980s up until, from the beginning of the Reagan presidency. This is when people started filling in the hole with credit card debt. And through the 80s and the 90s, we saw an explosion of credit card debt during the Clinton years. And then in the early 2000s, after Phil Gramm basically deregulated the banks, after we blew up Glass-Steagall with the Gramm-Leach-Bliley in 1999 and 2000 and the Commodity Futures Modernization Act, people moved from using their credit cards as a form of credit to using their homes as a form of credit. And so, now they owe on their credit cards, and they owe on their homes, and their kids, or if they are kids, they owe on their student loans. We have a little less than $1 trillion in credit card debt in the United States, a little more than $1 trillion in student loan debt in the United States, and a total of $39 trillion in total public sector or private sector debt, total business plus consumer debt. It's a massive amount of debt. is massively larger than our federal government debt that everybody's hysterical about. And if we don't start unwinding that debt, there's going to be an incredible crash. Because even if tomorrow the Obama administration, even if the progressive budget were to pass, the Progressive Caucus budget, which is being voted on, I believe, today, where they were debating it yesterday. The vote was supposed to happen around 1 o'clock. I've been keeping track of this. I have not seen any evidence that the vote has happened. But even if the progressive budget was to pass, which puts 7 million people back to work, lowers unemployment, raises wages, stops the loopholes to offshore jobs, even if that passed, and the middle class started earning more wages, started getting some more of that productivity, it would be a decade before you saw the economy begin to recover. Why? Because it's going to take 10 years for people to pay down their damn debt. So if you want this economy to really come back, we got to do something about the debt. And, $1 trillion in student loan debt, $1 trillion is nothing to the federal government. We could literally mint $1 trillion coin and say, we're going to pay off all the student loan debt in America with this tomorrow. And by the way, from now on, all college is free. We could do that. We essentially did that in the 1950s with the GI Bill. We sent an entire generation to college. We went from 5-6% of our population being college educated, over 20% of our population being college educated. We could do that. It's going to take some serious political will. I think a Jubilee is a good idea.